Ladies and gentlemen, I am Richard. I have just seen a short on YouTube that suggested that a politician should make the average pay for the people he represents. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to have a drink. Now, first question here being, what do you mean by average? Everybody knows what average means, don't they? It's the amount you have. If you take, like, let's just say you take the amount of fluid ounces in every bottle in the room, add it all together, and divide it by the number of bottles in the room. Okay? I put too much tequila in that. But there are actually three different ways to calculate an average that are relevant to this conversation. There's the mean, the median, and the mode. Okay, what we generally mean by average is the mean. Okay, all the people in the state, add up their income, divide it by the number of people in the state, you then have the mean. That's the number this woman is pretty much talking about. This is a terrible measure. What if Bill Gates moves to Rhode Island? He may actually make more than the entire tax revenue of Rhode Island. The average would then be in the billions because, well, would at least be in the high millions because Bill Gates changes the demographic there rather drastically. And, you know, it's like how much your politicians would make would depend very heavily by how many CEOs live in that state. Okay? And the population of the state. Okay? Now, if you then switch that to the median, we all know what a median is. You drive down the freeway, there's that thing in the middle, that partition. It's a median. It divides it in half. So, if I were to look at all three of these bottles here, containers of fluid, you would have the... What is that crawling around? Before I forget, let me of course remind you that for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase one of these bracelets from 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. Now, if you look at these three bottles, three containers, you have my bottle of tequila, not much left in it. My bottle of Arizona watermelon fruit cocktail. It originally held 34 ounces. I think there's about 20 left in there. And this is a six ounce glass, we'll say. I mean, I don't know, but say it's 6 ounce. This looks like it's about 4 ounces. So that would mean that the median is actually now 6 ounces. That is the amount. There is a hair in here. Where did that come from? I think they got into my ice. So now you look at the median is 6 ounces. You got a room of 6 people, you know, all of them are middle class. One billionaire walks in, suddenly the average, everyone's income added up together and divided, is in the millions. But the median changes very little. You go from one guy to the next guy, and the next guy is whatever that median is. So if guy number 3 were making $30,000 a year, and the guy number 4 was making $35,000 a year, the median would now be $35,000. It doesn't shift a great deal. Okay, so that's the thing, you know. Whoever's in the very middle, that one in the very middle, is the median. Now then you have the mode. The mode is whatever the most common is. All right. If I got 2 cans of soda and set them on this, then the mode would be 12 ounces because 2 cans are 12 ounces. That's the most common number to have in there. Everything else is different. So if, for example, you have a state where almost everyone is making minimum wage, then the mode is minimum wage. That's what the mode is. If the most common number of people are making it, that's the mode, right? The mean is the total amount added up and divided by all of the people. The median is whoever is in the dead center, and the mode is the most common. If most people drive a sedan, the mode is a sedan. If most people have a Windows computer, the mode is a Windows computer. It is whatever is most common, all right? So, by all of these measures, what we should have our politicians make would probably be whatever the mode is, all right? If they're making the exact middle, all right, you could actually add more rich people and bring that number up. Okay, not a bad idea. If they were making the average, rich people can get richer, they therefore make more. But if they're making the most common, doesn't matter how many jobs you add, unless you're adding good paying jobs that become the common number. So if you have a state where 50 million people, well, I don't know, state with 50 million, maybe California. Let's just say 10 million people, well, say 1 million people make minimum wage, all right? They're the mode. If 900,000 people are making $50,000 a year, guess what? Minimum wage is still the mode. This would put the pressure on the politician to raise the minimum wage, to help the people on the bottom, because they are the ones that make the most common amount. You want to create good jobs that pay well to bring that mode, to change that mode. That would put the pressure on them, all right? So this is one methodology of putting pressure on politicians to increase the living wage. However, this also would increase the incentive for politicians to take bribes and accept things from lobbies. So, it's a question on whether that would have any real impact. Also, a lot of politicians are already rich. It takes money to get into politics. In a very small election, yeah, you could get there with, $200. In a very large election, you can't get there without millions. That's true. What would be the greatest impactor on our politicians? Big money out of politics, that would be one. Education, that would be another. Smart people make the right choices when they vote. The better your education, the more likely people are to vote, and the more likely they are to make the right decision when voting. That's how voting works. So if you're going to create legislation impacting politicians, I would focus on education, because you're never going to get politicians should make the mean, median, or mode to work. I mean, you could pass that legislation, but what is the true impact if the politician is already rich? I would say that we should probably limit the pay of politicians to a certain percentage of the functional minimum wage. All right? That's one thing I would say. It might be, 300 times the minimum, or 300% of the minimum wage. All right? And it's like, okay, You know, if I make 300% of the minimum wage and I raise the minimum wage by $1 an hour, I then calculate that into, I'm not an hourly, I'm a salaried employee. That's what a politician is. You know, there's basically 2,000 hours as a round number, 2,000 hours in the work week. So then, all right, at $3 an hour, that's $6,000 I just made. Okay? It gives politicians an incentive to raise that number, but then you have to understand that, you know, the politicians are still subject to being bought, and anybody could walk up and say, "How about you not do that?" And I just give you $10,000. And, you know, there are questionably legal ways to do that, or you could say, you know, I'm going to give this politician a free trip to my spa that's worth so many $1,000, or maybe everybody chips in and just buys him lunch every day. You know, whoever knows. Politicians get gifts, and not all of them are. I mean, you can't stop them all from getting through the cracks. Still a little too much tequila in there. I really should use a shot glass, but I don't. Anyway, so there's that point. How much should politicians really make? I don't know. I mean, you could say they should make a percentage of the tax revenue that would incentivize them to levy more taxes. And, you know, there's no solid way to remove corruption from politics. There will always be some form of corruption in politics. But the best check on politics in America is the voter. Okay? A defective voter is the problem. We voters need to make the right decisions. We need to get out and vote. We need to do our research. We need to understand the world we live in and vote for the people that are going to make our lives better. No law will make a perfect politician. No person will be a perfect politician. And in fact, if there's a politician that you agree with 100% of the time, you should really start asking yourself if you're doing homework or if you're just a yes person who agrees with them because they're that person, regardless of, you know, what the truth is. I mean, no two people should agree on everything all of the time. But there's no perfect world. And no matter how far we go, we are constantly evolving as a society. Sometimes we fall backwards, and sometimes we push ahead. All we can do is keep trying and hope for the best. I'm Richard.
Oogog, Ergonog. Daniel Ducky say YouTube gods need long outro so I can tell you comment, like, and subscribe so that this channel can pull trash out of ocean by buying matrices from For Ocean. Also, links to new video now appear. Comment, like, and subscribe, or be cursed by Ugatha. Danger Ducky approves.